Hello, my name's Emma Cockrell and welcome to my whole food cookery class. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a gluten-free and grain-free and yeast-free bread. Now, for many of my clients, they have to avoid gluten or they have to avoid yeast, and a lot of them have to avoid both. So that can be quite hard trying to find a bread that works for them. And of course, when we use wheat flour or rye in baking bread, they both contain gluten, which gives the bread an elasticity, a stretch which helps it to rise and keep light. So without the gluten, it's much harder to get a light finish and the bread can be rather dense. This recipe I'm going to use today doesn't use any grain at all. It uses ground up seeds, and then it uses something called psyllium husk, which is the husk of a seed which is very, very fibrous and it absorbs a lot of water, and that helps to create a bulk within the bread and helps to keep it light and fluffy, and also some flexibility rather than being hard. So like you can bend a slice of ordinary bread, this has got a certain degree of flexibility and bendability, if you like. So what we're going to do is start off with 100 grams of sunflower seeds. So I've already ground these up, so you do need to have a grinder or purchase them ready ground. If you're not following a yeast-free anti-candida program, you can actually use ground almonds for this recipe. But when we're on a yeast-free diet for bringing intestinal yeast lower within the intestinal tract, we want to avoid nuts because they can have a layer of unseen mould on them, which for most people isn't an issue, but if we're working on that balance of microbes in the digestive tract, we don't want to add to that. Use your ground up seeds, and to that we're going to put 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 10 grams of psyllium husk. You can buy this in a lot of shops now. You can also buy it online, and you can get it through the company that provides all the supplements that I recommend, the nutritional supplements. So if you've forgotten the contact details or you want to get the contact details for that company, do get in touch and I can let you know the web address and email address for that. So I'm just breaking that in, breaking down the little lumps of the ground sunflower seeds. Now to that I'm going to put in a tablespoon of of lemon juice. So just squeeze that in. Now if you're using an organic lemon, it's a shame to waste the rest of it, the skin. So I will very often, before I squeeze a lemon, grate down the rind with a fine grater and keep it in the fridge for a couple of days or freeze it. And then you've got that there for adding to cooking, adding to salads. The grated rind is lovely, just a little bit sprinkled over the top of the salads. So you're just using the whole of the lemon and not getting any waste. But we just need a tablespoon of the lemon juice there, and a tablespoon of the extra virgin olive oil. I am actually making half quantities here, so if it looks a little bit less, that's why. So work that in, and then into that we're going to put 2 eggs, sorry, I'm using 1 egg. 2 eggs, and then work that in again. And then we need boiling water. So you're going to be adding 4 tablespoons of boiling water. I'm just going to be using half quantity as I mentioned here. Stir that in. At the moment it's a bit wet. We're going to leave it for a few minutes. That will slowly begin to absorb that moisture and thicken up. Psyllium husk is a very interesting product. We've used it for years for helping people with either constipation or mild diarrhea. Because it absorbs moisture, it helps to bulk out the stool, which means that it can help people go to the toilet more easily, and also if there's excess moisture in the stool, to absorb that, and again help with mild cases of diarrhea. So it's something which I can use occasionally with clients, but if we're using it in cooking, what we want to do is make sure that we're getting plenty of fluid into the recipe, and also drinking water through the day, because it does absorb lots of fluid and we don't want to get bunged up with that. So make sure you're using plenty of water. So that's why we've added the boiling water, and then also drink water through the day. Now we're going to pop that onto a baking tray. I have lined it, it's not essential at all with this recipe. You can ease it off with a spatula, but I've lined it with some non-stick baking paper. Now this is quite a sticky mixture. I've not waited the full 5 minutes, but it will still be fairly sticky. I can just show you there. It's kind of a stickier than a batter, thicker than a batter, but a bit like a cake consistency. So to help mould this into roll shapes, I'm just going to put some water on my hands, and that will help this to prevent it sticking. And then very, very easily, just move it from hand to hand to make a nice circular shape, the size of a satsuma, around about there, and then pop that onto the tray. You can see there. And again, wet the hands. You'll get 5 small rolls from these quantities of 100 grams of sunflower seeds and 2 eggs. And sometimes I just pop that down, so rather than keeping it round, I pop it down, and that's going to rise up to be a bit more like a bat, and it actually gives you more surface area on the inside when you cut it to put your filling. So if you're using it for a packed lunch, that can be a good way of doing it. You can see it's the same quantity, but I've patted it down to make it a wider shape. You can then decorate it as you like. You can put some herbs on top, or some seeds on top. So I'm just putting a few chives on there. And then that goes into the oven. So you continue to do your whole mixture. That goes into the oven at 180 degrees for about 30 minutes. Now you can also use that mixture into a small loaf tin. Just line the loaf tin with some greaseproof paper, non-stick baking paper. Pop the mixture in, and that will need about 40 minutes, perhaps a bit longer. You want it to be bouncy to the touch when it's cooked, a skewer to come out clean, and to make sure that's thoroughly cooked all the way through. So you'll be looking at a small loaf for about 40 to 45 minutes, but for the rolls, about 30 minutes. And then you have these. So you can see I've got 5 rolls here from the mixture. These are the larger ones that I press down to make into baps. These are the smaller ones. I put some linseeds on the top of these and some herbs on the top of these ones. And this one, which I've cut in half, you can see the consistency and the texture. It's light, there's plenty of air. It's if I say bouncy, that's not really the right word, but there's some give there. It's not hard. And that holds really, really well in a lunchbox, which is a great benefit, because so many gluten-free breads become crumbly. So if you're going off with a packed lunch, you can wrap that up in some greaseproof paper, and that will hold quite well. And you can fill that with some hummus, some mashed avocado, sliced red onion. What you don't actually need, you can add, but you don't need lots of protein in this. You don't need to be adding egg or seed butter, because of course the bread is seeds and full of protein. So you can just pack that full with vegetables, some salad, and maybe some lovely lemon mayonnaise in there as well. So that's your rolls. This is the finished product when I've baked it into a small loaf tin. So I've already sliced this, and you can see really easy to thinly slice, and there's a degree of bendability, flexibility in that. So it's soft. I actually made these a couple of days ago. They've been in the fridge. They're still very fresh, very soft, very easy to use. So you can keep them in the fridge for up to about 5 days, and then I'd suggest perhaps freeze them. And that's one of the reasons why I'll slice the bread in advance so that you can then take out a slice or two as you need it. This is great alongside a vegetable soup or a perfect accompaniment to some salad. So I hope that's given you another idea of how to bake, even if you're on a restricted diet. If you can't have gluten, you may not even be able to have grains, and you may not be able to have any yeast. And this is a lovely bread recipe for that sort of situation. So thank you for watching, and do tune in again. Bye bye for now.